Okay. Hey guys. It's kind of late. That's why I'm in basically night clothes. I just decided to do this video with a topic that kind of popped up in my mind to do. And the topic is, as you could read the description saying how I became blind in my left eye. I know in most of my videos, probably some of you noticed, some people may not notice. My husband said he didn't notice until I kind of told him what was going on. But I've always had a complex about it due to the experiences that I had coming up and being in school, being teased, and not just kids teasing you. You also have it adults doing that. That I also discovered when I was working, as a correction officer. But going back to the topic of how I became blind, I remember turning 5 years old, and I remember my parents giving me a birthday party. I was turning 5, and it was gonna be like a big birthday party. And I remember my mom had 2 dresses made for me. One was a blue with white polka dots. The polka dots were kind of big on there, and then one was orange with small white polka dots. But what I can remember a lot out of it is on that particular day, I was in excruciating pain, where I was running from my bedroom into my parents' bedroom and digging my face into their pillows, just hoping for the pain to stop. The pain felt like someone taking a nail and hammer and literally hitting me in the eye. The pain became so bad that my mom rushed me to the hospital. I don't particularly remember either was I at the hospital or at the doctor's office. Like I said, I had just turned 5. I do remember being back in the car with her and them having a patch over my eye. She would remove the patch like on a daily basis, and she would have me, literally kind of practice seeing with my eye, because I did have vision at that time, I guess. I don't remember having vision in both eyes. So she would have me cover the right eye and kind of recognize objects, or also she would have, her fingers up saying, how many fingers do you see? Things like that. And also she was like putting ointments in my eye. I guess that was to kind of make it better, or whatever directions the doctor had given her. But then I also recall her telling me that she saw my eye. In the beginning, what made her take me to the doctor in the beginning was she saw like a little dot in my eye. And she started taking me to the doctor to kind of observe and see what it was. But I remember her telling me that she literally saw when my eyes changed colors in front of her. Like my eye just changed color. So my left eye had became like almost like a greenish type of color. Looked like a cat eye, really, like green. And I mean, I stayed like that for many years. The pain eventually subsided, where I was just able to kind of just stay with it. But I had became blind in the eye once it changed colors. I guess growing up like that, I never really bothered me, having vision in one eye. When it started affecting me again was, I remember coming to the U.S., and the kids in the U.S. were just really cruel. Like, they hold nothing back from teasing you. I was teased from being a foreigner down to my eye, needing crutches, all kind of remarks were made. But I remember then I was 14, 15 years old. And I remember the same pain came back. The same bad pain. I was crying all night. My sister and I had shared a room. And I was just crying. And at some point, she went and called my mom. And my mom came, and asked me what's happening. And, I was just crying. The same pain, nail hammer, going at it again. So she took me to the emergency room. I remember my grandmother was still alive then, and she came along. When they got me there, the doctors were trying to get the temperature of my eye, and the eye was so sensitive that they couldn't even get the temperature because it would just kind of close on its own. And then at some point they said they would have to perform surgery. I didn't know at that time that the surgery was going to be what it was. My mom, I guess, was kind of like covering that up. As parents, we try to not let our kids get the worst news. So they did the surgery, and I mean, in my head, I believe that the surgery would have been like them taking out my eye and giving me a new eye, so that's what was in my head at the time. But I know when I woke up from surgery, before surgery, they did send me home with like pills for the pain, to reduce the pain. And I remember I was just ODing on the pills that my grandmother, when I had to go back to the hospital, my grandmother had to like walk me to cross the street because I didn't even know what was going on. So, the eye was very sensitive. They couldn't even get the temperature, nothing on it. Then they did the surgery. They performed surgery. They said surgery went well. I had a patch on my eye, and I guess they had it like stitched closed. So, after a certain amount of days, we had to go back, and they were going to remove the stitches to see if it healed well. So, in my head, I'm thinking, yes, they're going to remove the stitches. I'm going to be able to see out of both eyes. Wow, America is kind of like far and things. So, as we went, they took the stitches out. I mean, I didn't see anything, but then the doctor showed my mom, and she was like, oh, yes, it looks good. It looks great. So, I'm thinking like, okay, so, the vision is going to come back somehow. So I was just waiting, not knowing. Then my mom had to take me to this place called Commission for the Blind. I remember the name, Commission for the Blind. So I'm thinking like, why am I going to a place called Commission for the Blind if I'm supposed to get my vision back? So from there on, we had to go to this place where they do ocular prosthesis, and it was called at the time Earl C. Schreiber. I mean, they're still in business, and they're really like awesome. They were awesome, amazing with me. Then what else? What do I recall? I remember them having to do a fitting, and that's when reality kicked in. The fitting, basically, they had a mirror there, and they took the patch off. That's when I was in shock. Like, when they took the patch off, there was nothing there. Just like nothing there. So I'm thinking like, my mom said it looked great. How did it look great if there was nothing there? But that's, I think, a whole nother topic. Like, parents always trying to take the worst in for their children, just not to disappoint them. So they had to do the fitting, and they brought like this entire case out in front of me with prosthetic eyes. All I was looking at is eyes, like little eyeballs just sitting there like little shells. And I thought I was going to have to like pick like, okay, I want that one. But I mean, no, you go through a whole process of them literally doing the molding, you know, pouring it in the eye and doing like, it's a process where they have to kind of do the veins and do the drawing and measure your pupils, you know, just everything. You know, and you don't get it the same day. So you kind of go home with like a temporary eye. I think they sent me home with a temporary eye, I don't even remember. But that's when I knew that like, okay, I'm not gonna see, you know, out of this eye. Or maybe when they make the original eye, you know, then I'll see. I think no one really explained to me what was going on. But I do remember being at the Commission for the Blind, and when, you know, the only thing I asked this lady, because she asked me if I had any questions, and I asked her, and I said, okay, if I do get an eye put in, is it going to fall out like when I'm running? You know, like, I didn't know what to expect. I expected it to just be a big round ball that, you know, you run and fall out, then what happens? So she told me no. She said, you will be able to do anything you want to do. Anything you set your mind on, you will be able to do it. This will not hinder you in any way. And I took those words to heart, to let nothing stop me from doing whatever I wanted to do. And also, I remember my aunt saying that in the land of the blind, one eye is king. I always remember that. So I felt like I'm still king in the land of the blinds. I did face some challenges, certain things I was afraid to do. One of the things was talking to people. Because, you know, like having to look them directly in the eyes, you know, and you have one eye that's moving, one that isn't. Because I remember in school, you know, they would make jokes like, who's she looking at? Is she looking at you or is she looking at me? You know, she don't even know which way she's looking at. Being a correction officer, I heard that from the inmates. Oh, she's seeing 3 people in the cells, you know, and then officers themselves making jokes behind my back. But those things kind of end up strengthening me. The way I became a correction officer is, I recall my son's godfather, he's a cop, and I wanted to go into law enforcement, and he kind of discouraged that. I think he just felt that since I'm a good cook, I should just open a restaurant and be in the kitchen. And he told me, he's like, you will not make it as a cop because you only have vision. He's like, I was like, why? He's like, how are you going to certify for firearm? So, you know, I took that as, okay, he's doubting me. And to me, when a person tells me I can't do something, I have to prove you wrong. So I studied and took the test, the entry-level exam, to go into law enforcement. I passed. I went into law enforcement. How did I pass my physical, my vision test? You know, because you have to pass a vision test. I'm not going to talk about that now, how I passed it, but I will talk about it later. So, I did make it into law enforcement. And I worked in the Essex County Department of Corrections for a couple of years. But I also noticed that with me being blind in one eye, even though my vision is missing, I feel like God gave me a lot of talents, like literally a lot of talents that I never really had to go to school for. You know, I can see something and I could put it in my head and just do it. You know, where I've went from, I was doing hair for people when I got my cosmetology license. And I knew I was braiding really good. I didn't even really need to go to cosmetology. It was more so for the chemicals. You know, I did that, went into corrections. I got bored, left. Yeah, I ended up doing cakes. I was making amazing cakes, like cake boss type of cakes, without going to school. Then I even went into what I'm currently doing is like designing clothes for people. Didn't take any type of sewing lessons. I just can see it and I do it. So I was giving a lot of gifts that went with that. Also, I didn't really need glasses all my years. I might need some now because of the glare of like the laptops and TV, but I've always had excellent vision in my right eye. Now, the challenges were I cannot get a CDL license because you need to have vision in both eyes, or at least with glasses on, you know. So I couldn't do that. There wasn't a way around it. Like, I got around it with corrections. Motor vehicles, once you put your face in that thing, they were telling me I was missing a certain amount of letters. So that was a done deal. Trying to think. I remember my husband did ask me, he asked me how would I feel now if I was able to have vision in both eyes. My response is that you can't miss what you never had. And since the fact that I cannot remember having vision in my left eye, it doesn't bother me. I drive. I'll go anywhere I want to go. So it doesn't hinder me. You know, and I drive very well. I haven't gotten into any accidents that were my fault, at least. None. Well, just one. That's when I first got my license. I totaled my car in 4 days. But to me, it still wasn't really my fault. The person gave me the go ahead, and when I went, they came back for me. So me, I really don't care to have vision in my left eye at this point, because I never had it. To me, you know, to my recollection, I don't remember from the age 1 to 4. I only remember from 5. I mean, my brother said they tried it too. They tried driving and kind of closing one eye, and they said they almost made an accident and all this kind of stuff. Like, how do I do it? But with God, all things are possible. Right before I did the video, my husband did ask me, like, how do I see? And, you know, I kind of laid on the bed and kept my face straight and looked to that side, and I can see the entire wall, you know, everything that's to my right in my peripheral vision. But then if I look to my left, I was only able, because I have to use this eye to look, I was only able to kind of see the door and a little bit of my bathroom door, but I couldn't see my husband at all unless I turned my face. So even with driving, when I had to drive in Suriname, once we got married and I was staying with my husband in Suriname, their vehicles have, their steering wheel is on the right, and also they drive on the opposite side of the street. So, and they have a lot of motorcyclists that pass on your, you know, on your left, like when you got to turn. I was afraid of that, so I knew that for my safety and the safety of others, I needed a car with a left steering wheel. So, I mean, my husband did end up selling the, yes, like I said, I remember him having to take a vehicle to my aunt's house, and I had to follow him. Our car was in the shop, so they gave us a rental, and the rental, the steering wheel was on the right hand side. But since I had to follow him to my aunt, I mean, I safely followed him. But while following him, I heard something click my left mirror. Like, it felt like my mirror hit something. But as I looked, there weren't any trees on the side of the road. I didn't hit any lamp posts or anything. So as I looked at my side mirror, I saw this guy holding his elbow. So I think I don't know how. I think he was walking too close to the curb. So I think the side mirror hit his elbow. I mean, he wasn't dead on the ground, so I didn't stop. He was fine. He was just like in ouch pain. So please don't kill me for that. But those are the mishaps. I cannot drive a vehicle with the steering wheel on the right. It's just not safe. What else can I really do? Other than that, I don't see anything that I just cannot do. I don't consider myself handicapped. I never went and got a handicap sticker to park in park in a handicap spot. Even though right now I think about it that I should, especially when you go to places like Costco's and they don't have parking or you gotta park far. But that's kind of laziness. But I don't consider myself handicapped. I consider myself blessed. Because all the talents that I possess, you have people with vision in both eyes that can do some of the things I do. So I am grateful for that. Babe, anything else? I don't know how my husband feels about me being blind in one eye. He said that, in the beginning he didn't see it or notice it. I don't know how he didn't notice it. I think he was maybe too busy focusing on other things. How come you didn't notice it?
It seems very real, and it's still beautiful. So I didn't choose you because, how can I say it? I was not looking at the blind side of your eye. I was looking at the beauty of you. The beauty that you have in your heart. And you're a very beautiful woman. And that I'm a lucky man, lucky husband to be with you. So, to me, it doesn't matter if we have love together. That's it. That's the key of life, love. And you're perfect. You're better. You're beautiful.
Thank you. So, I don't know if you guys have any questions, about my eye. Yes, it is a prosthetic. You could kind of see it. I'm supposed to get an updated one. I haven't done it. I've had this one since 2009. So I know I'm supposed to get another one done. Maybe after this whole COVID-19 thing, I'll consider doing that. I have gotten away with certain things with it. Like the police trying to give me the wrong ticket. I did do that.
Did you told them about when you showed the police guy about your eye?
Okay, and he's gonna make me talk about it. So, what happened was I had to go pick my son up from his grandmother's house, and she had to go to church, so I just literally jumped in the car and left to go pick him up, and I had to go on the highway. So once I got on the highway and I was switching lanes, officer pulls me over. And honestly, I've never been a reckless driver. And I was changing lanes gradually. So when he pulled me over, that's when I realized I didn't bring my pocketbook with me. So I had no license, registration, nothing on me. So I'm like, oh my God, they're going to impound my car. So I had to do quick thinking. So I took out my eye. Please don't look at me different. I just had to do that, you know, to save the day, like the eye save the day type of thing. I took it out, and when the officer came and he's like, do you know why I'm pulling you over? I was like, no, I don't. He's like, you're making improper lane changes, and where are you going? Where are you in a hurry to? I told him, I was like, I'm trying to get to the hospital. He's like, why? What happened? And you know, the whole time when I took the eye out, I was like covering it like this. And I told him that, you know, my girlfriend and I got into an argument and she punched me in the eye and my eye fell out. And he was like, let me see. So I moved my hand and he almost fainted. Like, I'm not gonna lie, he was a white cop and he just turned colors. Literally turned his colors. He called for backup, an ambulance. He told me, you know, it's gonna be a snowstorm. I'm just gonna put a tag on your car, pull it to the side of the highway for them not to tow it. You could come back or send somebody to come pick it up. He gave me no tickets or anything, so I got away with that. But I only kind of used it at that time. I hope I don't have to use it again in the future, maybe for my husband, right? Because the way he drives here, I'm afraid he's gonna get a speeding ticket. So I might have to like pull it out. Wait, am I gonna need to do that for you? So I think he'll fall out if I do that. I mean, he's asked me to do it for him. I haven't done it. I haven't had the heart to do that. I mean, I know he'll still love me regardless. I just haven't done that. I don't know if I'm ready to really do that for him. We'll see. But that's a little bit of my story. If you guys have any questions regarding it, you know, feel free to ask me questions, inbox me, or whatever it is. I just don't think it is good to tease people regardless of what's wrong with them, because we all have some type of handicap or something wrong with us some way or the other. None of us are perfect at all. So to me, if I see something wrong with an individual, rather than me staring, maybe I'll ask them if they're not offended. If, you know, can I ask you a question? You know, I'll do that rather than staring and giggling and laughing. You know, that kind of stayed with me for many, many years into my adulthood. You know, that kept me from speaking to people or talking to people, period. Just like always really shy, not talkative. That always kind of kept me from doing YouTube videos, because I was also kind of skeptical, you know, that I would be judged. So it kept me from that, you know, even like picture taking, you know, it kind of kept me away from those kind of things. But over the years, my confidence grew, and, you know, also what my parents installed in me, you know, I kept that with me. So it got better over the years. Am I 100% good with it? Maybe not 100, maybe about 95. You know, but I don't wish to have vision in both eyes, like the wishful thinking. No, I don't feel like I'm missing it. I don't feel like I need it. You know, so I am happy with what God has blessed me with. With that said, it's going to be kind of the conclusion of my video. If you guys have any questions, comments, please feel free to ask. And also don't forget to click the subscribe button to my channel. I'm going to be doing different topics on different things. Also, I'm going to do a topic of how my husband and I met. We're going to do one of those. It's going to be like couple of sections, because I mean, it's kind of a long little story, but it's a very much fairy tale story of how we met. You know, it was like really like a dream come true that I never expected. So never expected to be married, and never expected to be married to such a great man, excellent husband. So with that said, I want to say ciao, good night, love you guys.